Hello everybody, welcome to the Comic Gamer Movie Show. My name is Deshaun and today I'm here to review Marvel Studios' Echo and the first ever Marvel Spotlight show. Now, this show, Echo, is obviously is a spin-off from the Hawkeye show that she was introduced in. Now, Echo is a character, like some people might think she's a made-up character. No, Echo is an actual character from the comics, and she is closely aligned in the comics with Hawkeye and Daredevil. And her relationship with the Kingpin is also something that is from the comics. Tweaks here and there and things shifted and things being changed, but for the most part, it is that relationship is from the comics. Now, Echo is being pretty much, at least from what I can tell, especially after watching the show. There's 5 episodes, and they released all of them. They're mostly on Hulu. They're on Hulu on Disney Plus. You can watch them all right now. But it's TVMA, which is the equivalent of an R rating, and it's an interesting thing that they're going for here, because for a very long time, Marvel Studios was not getting in the business of doing R-rated projects outside of Deadpool, which we've known they were going to do for quite some time. But Deadpool's already a proven project. So this is the first ever project under the Spotlight banner, which will be the more mature banner, which they've even described the Spotlight banner as a less important, less connected piece of the MCU. It's more isolated, it's more into itself, and it can be more violent and brutal and different things, more mature and things of that nature. And Echo is the first to bat. And we just found that out. Like, Echo is like, literally, they introduced the entire concept with this show. And like I say, Echo is technically it's a spin-off from Hawkeye. And the events of Hawkeye ended with her shooting the Kingpin in the face after discovering he was responsible for the death of her father. And she kind of just rides off after that. Now the character Maya Lopez, aka Echo, she was a standout character in Hawkeye. She was very interesting, especially from the standpoint of having a character like that, not deaf, a character who can't speak, who can't speak and they can't hear, they can't really speak. I believe she's deaf and mute, but I can't remember. Who also has one leg. I mean, that's a lot of things in one. But she managed to get across a veracity and a fierceness that made you believe her as a badass. You buy her fight sequences, especially in this series. Whenever a cool fight sequence goes down, sometimes it's like, I don't believe it at all. With her, you do believe it. You believe that this is a woman who's had enough hardships and has fought her ass off to get to where she is, and she's got a lot of rage inside of her, and she just wants to unleash it on somebody. So, we get Echo. Now, I'm going to start with the good things about this show. First of all, Maya Lopez, the actress who plays her very well. And I have to tell you, it's a very interesting show, just from the aspect that the main protagonist speaks primarily, if not entirely, in sign language. So every sequence with her, which is the majority of the show, is in sign language. And watching the actors manage to get across emotions and whatnot through sign language, with the reactions and whatnot, was a very fun thing, which was one of the funner aspects of the show, is getting across emotions and whatnot through that sign language. I thought that was really fun. Like, it's not something you see all the time, and it's not something you don't see in regular shit. It's another what's the word I'm looking for? Another thing to put on the deck that the MCU has done that nobody else is doing. Having your main protagonist be deaf and mute and primarily has to speak through sign language, that ain't something you see all the time. So it did make the show, it automatically gave the show something very unique that you do not see anywhere else. So that off the bat gave it a unique feel to it. Also, the fight sequences, when they are going down, ironically, except for the last one, but there are 2 standout fight set pieces in this. One is at a roller derby, is at a skate ring, and the other one is in the first episode, and it involved Daredevil in it as well. They were so well edited, so well worked. They looked amazing. Honestly, they gave you hope. I'm like, okay, if they're gonna bring this to the Daredevil show, if the Daredevil fight sequences look like the Echo fight sequences, oh, we're fucking golden, dude. We're fine. We're awesome. This ain't got shit to worry about. Also, We got more history on also the relationship between Maya and Kingpin, aka Wilson Fisk, is an interesting one. It is a fascinating one. It's very Thanos and Gamora. Like if you love the relationship between Thanos and Gamora and Nebula, there's a lot of that in the Kingpin and Maya's relationship. And although I thought the finale was not very particularly good, especially after we're coming off of Loki's finale, which was amazing, and then we get this finale on this show, which was not good at all, I did like one aspect of it, which was how things ended between Maya and Kingpin, which is she still loves him and doesn't want to hurt him, and she sees in him something that's in her because they see the anger and the rage in each other. So she does still on a level care about him, which is an interesting way to go about it, which just gives it more legs to have her come back and have this relationship develop even farther in the future. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised at all if the future direction for Maya is her eventually supplanting Kingpin as a criminal Kingpin or Queenpin or something along those lines, because that relationship is still fascinating and it's still very layered between the two of them. Now, the problem with the show is first of all, the action set pieces. There's not a lot of action set pieces. For 5-parter, there's really only 2 to 3 major action set pieces. There is one train set piece that was kind of cool, but when you're gonna do a show like this, either you have to lean into the drama or you have to lean into the action, and there wasn't enough of both. When the action was hitting, it was well, and some of the dramatic stuff works, but you don't really have enough time on any of these characters to really develop anything truly. In the end, this felt like a show that maybe should have been longer. It felt like it was edited to shit. You can tell it was edited to shit because of the way it was cut around. Also, it felt like it was edited to be on TV because it would fade away. It would black fade away randomly as fuck, and very TV-esque way it would do it. It just threw me off. It felt like a show that maybe should have had more time. It should have had more episodes. It should have had more time. And honestly, like I say, the way they filmed it, maybe it should have been on network television. I'm not sure. But either way, the blood and the gore didn't really end up like making it, adding too much to it in the end. Don't get me wrong, there are some set pieces that were cool, but like Kingpin beating the shit out of that dude and the lady getting shot, the translator getting killed and seeing her blood on the, there are certain pieces where the blood helped, but for the most part, if they didn't have any of the blood in it and they just kept the action the same, there really isn't too much that happens. There's no nudity, there's not much swearing, especially since most of it's done in sign language, so there's really not a lot of swearing. There's no nudity, there's no swearing, there's no sex, there's blood, but it's not like someone got their head chopped off. The violence is like in the striking and like the brutality behind that for the most part. So really that making this a spotlight thing, I mean, if it, fine, but it didn't really add too much to it. And overall, most of the characters are forgettable. They're there and they're gone. And you won't even remember them. You really won't, because you don't have time to develop any feelings towards any of these characters. So much of it is kind of just done, and there's this weird like Native American ancient alien thing going on in the background to explain her power. So in the comic book, Echo's powers is she can read her opponent's bot. She can read her opponent and tell exactly what they're gonna do, almost like that one Inhuman a little bit. She can read what they're gonna do. She can tell what they're going to do before they do it, But here, they got rid of that, and they went with this weird, power where if she's ever in danger, her ancestors can come and strengthen her body or something. I don't even know. It was super vague. It really wasn't given a good description of what the fuck it was. And it wasn't even a cool end sequence, dude. Things just ended. And, in the end, what you're left with is a very disappointing show. Echo could have been better than this. It had the potential in its bones. I like the main protagonist. I love the relationship between her and Kingpin, and it works great when they're together. I love the uniqueness of having a deaf mute character who speaks mainly through sign language, because then you have to do this. You're going through all sign language, which, granted, it only really works because she's in this town interacting with people who knew her, who also know sign language, you know. So I don't know how well it's going to play when she gets around strangers. I'm not sure how well it's going to play. But either way, Echo was okay. Wasn't hot, wasn't terrible. It was the definition of okay. I'd probably give it a 6, maybe a 6.5 out of 10. I'd give Echo a 6.5 out of 10. It was okay. That was it. You know, it came and went. But honestly, it being under the Marvel Spotlight banner probably helps it too, because nothing in it is particularly that important to the wider MCU. So honestly, if you're an MCU fan, I'd check it out. But if you're not, you're not really missing too much. But anyways, thank you guys for joining the Comic Game Movie Show. Please remember to like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Goodbye.